Welcome, y'all.
Yeah.
All right, now was it your idea or your brother's idea? Because I just always say welcome to quarantine cooking, y'all. But which one of y'all said quarantine cooking?
Well, I'm going to say that that's Jamie.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that's pretty tricky. Quarantine.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So today, Mom and I are going to make, everybody asks me all the time what my favorite meal is that my mama makes. And I've always said that it's goulash, and it's still true. And so we're going to make goulash for you today. And it starts with, Mom's got a really awesome Dutch oven. I don't know how old this is or where you got it
I don't
from.
either, son, because I bought it from an antique shop.
Okay, well, I love it.
And I love it too.
Love it. So we're going to start with, we put a little oil in the pot. And to that, this is a white onion. I wish it were a Vidalia. I don't think that's a Vidalia. It looks like white.
I don't buy anything but Vidalia.
Okay. Well, for some reason, it just looks whiter than Vidalia. So we're going to start with a little onion and saute that, okay? And get that going and maybe let it hit a little trend. Oh, and look at that. How perfect the spoon is.
Which name does that have on it?
Who you think?
Bobby? Jamie said he was taking... It is!
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was on some kind of talk show. It didn't last for very long.
No, it didn't.
But you know, I can't even remember the name of it, son, but they filmed it in New York and... Oh, did they film it in LA? I can't even remember that either.
Okay.
But anyway, they had me on
Best
as a
day of
guest.
your life?
Yeah. They had me on as their guest, and they gave me a hostess gift of those 3 spoons.
Uh-huh.
Well, no, it was 4 spoons.
Yeah.
With a picture of Michael on one, me on one. Uh-oh, Michael's been used more often, I think.
Well, I'm laughing because that doesn't look like mine.
No, and well, hopefully that doesn't look like me either. My spoon, wherever it is.
Okay, so we started off with Vidalia onions into the pot, and to that we're going to add our meat. Okay, so we've got a couple of pounds of what kind of meat do you have here?
Ground beef, just ground beef. But you can do like a pound of ground beef, a pound of ground chicken, and a pound of ground pork. That's really what I prefer.
You could do a blend, and that would be very good.
So do you like to leave your meat in kind of big chunks?
I do. I like.
Or do you like them really smashed up good? What do you like?
I like bigger chunks.
I do too.
You know, because it's like it's
It
just
smells so good.
probably me.
Oh my gosh, you smell wonderful.
I know. I hear that all the time.
What have you got on?
It's just soap.
Just soap. Oh gosh, you
Soap
smell
and
so good.
soap and clean clothes.
I bet you that Claudia. How many times she make you shower?
God, so many. So yeah, I like to leave the meat in sort of bigger chunks because it's just it makes for just a kind of a more hearty dish.
Yeah,
you know,
it feels meatier.
when you get to the end.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, we might do things a little bit quicker here because we're filming it, but I would just let this just go nice. You know what I mean? I probably would have let those onions go even a little bit longer. But we won't mess with it too much and just kind of let that beef.
I'm gonna add like a teaspoon
Garlic.
of ground garlic for you.
Yeah. And I don't want to tear it up too much, so I'm just going to kind of fold.
Yes.
You know.
And I'm gonna put you a few bay leaves in there for you.
Okay.
And I'm gonna sprinkle some house seasoning in there for you, so that can get in there. And I'll put a little house seasoning, but then I'll come back and add more Italian seasoning.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you misspoke. You said house seasoning, and then you used this, and you said you were going to add a little house seasoning, but that was the Italian seasoning. So you added some Italian.
That was a 73-year-old talking.
And then
this
we'll come.
This is the 49-year-old talking now.
And
I
then,
just put house seasoning in,
right.
And I sprinkled a little Italian seasoning, which I'm going to give you more.
Okay.
But just to kind of kiss on your meat.
Okay. And I'm just gonna, fold this in. You don't want to tear anything up.
No.
You know.
And now I'm going to sprinkle a little seasoning salt in there.
So there's going to be a lot of seasoning going on.
You're ready to go, son.
So we're just going to let that meat sort of brown, and I'm going to leave it alone for a few minutes so that that those things can kind of marry together for a few minutes.
You want to tell them the story, Bobby, of the first time you Your burglar.
You're right. I'm just killing it. All right, so we're back, and this beef is browning really, really nicely. And Mom said I'm tearing it up using a wooden spoon. You know, maybe she's right. Whatever. So I'll go kind of spatch.
I'll take that, y'all. Maybe
that right?
she's right. I will take a maybe.
Oh, well, there's still some big
I will
chunks.
take a maybe.
Hey, look here. Enough. Okay, so we're making goulash, and it's one of my favorite meals for sure that Mama has always made for me. So we started off with a little oil in our Dutch oven, and to that we added some Bade onion, and then some ground beef to that. This is a nice base for goulash. So, and to the meat we seasoned it with a little bit of house seasoning. We used a little Italian seasoning, and we used some minced garlic and a little bit of seasoned salt. So since this is a sort of a dump pot dish, and a lot of people have their own version of this that they make at home. Do whatever you want to. There's no real rules, so you can season it however you like. I think Mom's gonna add a little bit of soy sauce to it. This is risking being a little salty, but
well, that's why I didn't. I held back on the salts, Bobby, because I want you to taste
I'm
it.
glad that you did, and I'm sure it's. You know what? I'm sure it's gonna be great because I'll tell you this: our family. All of us in our own way are very, very good cooks. And we all have, I know that we have a good eye. I think my mom's eye might be kind of slipping a little bit.
Well, it's my tongue.
I watched you put we've
yes.
had a lot bad tongues for a long time. But I saw you put a tablespoon of hot sauce in something a little bit earlier on. If I had to guess, I'd say it was 3 tablespoons of hot sauce. But you've always had a good eye. I've got a good eye. So pinch and dash cooking really works for me and for us. All right, so early on when I was a lot younger, I was trying to recreate goulash at my first apartment that I had. And so I was making goulash, and I called Mama, and I said, Mom, my goulash that I'm making here just doesn't look like yours. It's just not right. I don't know what's going on. So help me out, please. Help me to fix my goulash. So Mama said, okay, tell me what you've done. I said, well, I browned my ground beef, and then I drained it. And she said, okay, stop right there. You should not have drained the ground beef. That's where all your seasoning is. All the seasoning is in those beautiful juices that comes from the meat. And she was so right. So from then on, whenever I make my goulash at home, and it's just like this, it's just pinch and dash. It's whatever I want in there and just kind of season it to taste as I go. But I never ever drain my beef anymore because there is just so much beautiful flavor in there. And it's a real shame to pour it off. So that was my mistake making my goulash, and so don't make that same mistake.
I've rinsed out, Bobby, your tomato sauce cans, and rinsed out both cans, and it brings it to about a half a can of water. Okay. Which we may need to add some more.
Yep. So we've added 2 cans of diced tomatoes, 2 cans of tomato sauce. And this is just a full throttle. This is not a light recipe. A lot of you know that I cook pretty lightly, and that I'm creative in ways to lighten up dishes. But you know what? That's not always. You don't always do that. Sometimes you got to cook with your mama. Sometimes you got to cook for friends. Sometimes you got to cook for family. And I think that knowing how to cook means knowing how to cook everything. And if you want to change these recipes to make them a little bit lighter for you, then you can find creative ways to do that. But this is going to be full on pedal to the metal goulash. Don't look for any lightness here, and I promise you it's going to be delicious.
Bobby, give this a taste, son.
You could
and, see if you think it needs the rest of.
Well, hand me a single serving spoon, please.
I think that here you go.
Yeah.
That one's easier to do.
I'll let you know in just a second. So, but one thing that I do at home is Claudia and I have a beautiful small garden in our backyard. And one thing that we grow is tomatoes. And I love having fresh tomatoes at my house all the time. So I will definitely, when I'm at home, drop in some fresh tomatoes. Yeah. We also have, and goulash typically doesn't have peppers in it, but we also have beautiful bell peppers that grow in our garden. And oftentimes I'll put in a fresh small pepper in there with my onion.
I do like to put bell pepper in it, but when you were a kid coming up, bell peppers weren't one of your favorite things.
That's right. They weren't, and it's funny how your taste changes over time, because I've grown to like so many things now that I didn't.
All right, so all my Italian seasoning is going in. Did you taste it?
I didn't,
to see if it
I
needs
didn't.
the rest of your house seasoning.
I didn't. Give me just a second, because I'm stirring and I'm talking. So, but my point with that is, if you're fortunate to live in a good climate and you've got even a small piece of if you've got even a small space in your backyard or your front yard or whatever to do a garden, you should. I mean, it's fun for you and your family. My wife and I enjoy taking our children out into the garden and letting them see that things grow, and that you can eat right from the garden. We get beautiful cucumbers, peppers, tomatoes. We get beautiful basil and make our own. We use basil, and we also get sweet mint leaves at our house. Just beautiful. Having a garden is just a really, really nice thing to have. Okay, so I'm expecting that this is going to be a little bit salty. But it's not. It's well seasoned, but it's not too salty. That is excellent. Oh my gosh, that is excellent. Okay, so goulash, I've always said this when I'm talking to folks about my favorite meal, is that goulash is basically a glorified beefaroni. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I kind of actually looked at the box on the, what do they call it, beefaroni, hamburger helper beefaroni.
RD, baby. Yeah, I mean, it's
I
been
kind
around
of
here.
looked on the box and then just.
Is this what it's supposed to look like? All right, I can make it look like that. That's sort of what
and
it is.
bear in mind, I was very young.
There'll be a couple of different ways. You're still young. There'll be a couple of different ways to do this. You could put your elbow macaroni raw into this, okay, mixture of your beef and everything. But it just takes an awful long time to get the elbow macaroni to cook. So the best thing to do is just to pre-cook it. So our elbow macaroni here has already been cooked. It's nice and soft and tender. And so we'll just add that right into our pot of goulash.
Did you taste it yet?
I did, and it is really, really good.
Good.
Yeah, it's not salty.
Now this is going to soak up any kind of salt or anything, so I think we'd be safe in putting the rest of your house seasoning in.
I'll tell you this, yes, ma'am. Probably. Okay. I was gonna say it probably doesn't need it, but that's okay. We can live with it.
Well, that pasta.
We'll soak it up. That's right.
It pulls out. It needs salt.
So, like I said, the only thing that I would do differently to this at my house is I would maybe drop some fresh tomatoes in there just to give it a nice touch. And if I've got some peppers, then I might put a small.
Too much macaroni, Bobby?
No, ma'am. I think it looks really good.
Okay, good.
And I'd maybe put a small bell pepper in there with my vade onion to start with. I wish there was a way that I could grow onions at my house. I don't have the skill or the knowledge to do that.
Spring onions. You can grow spring onions.
Yeah, I guess maybe so. But I love having, love having a little garden. And anybody out there who likes to cook probably feels the same way. But if you don't already have one and you've got the room for it and you want a project, because especially now, I mean, we're in a time where, I mean, we're all dealing with this stuff. Everybody is, But a great way to add some positivity to your day and to your life and to spend some time with your family is to get outside and do a little bit of gardening. Yeah. So, if you've got the time and the space to do it, I think you should.
The only thing I've planted this year is thyme and basil.
Wow.
Right?
I'd like a little time if I could get some.
I'll give you some time.
T-I-M-E. All right, so that's goulash. It's really simple. You saw us do that in about 15 minutes.
We're going to probably let that simmer, though, for about 45 minutes or an hour. It's one of those things that it can simmer till the cows come home.
That's right.
And it's going to be delicious. And you know what? It's even going to be more delicious tomorrow.
That's it. All right, so there's the goulash.
Love and best dishes. I'm so glad you were able to be
Me too.
with my sons
I made my,
today.
hey, you know what? I wasn't able to be here on my birthday, so here I am for my birthday meal.
I
Couple of
make
months
this
late.
every birthday for Bobby.
All right, thanks everybody. See y'all
Love
later.
y'all. Hey y'all, it's Paula Deen. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell to be alerted when I post a video. Love and best dishes, y'all.